Hey folks, my name is Ed Travers. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm an Anglican priest serving in the beautiful parish of St. Margaret of Scotland that sits on the ancestral and on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Gway. Last month, a long time coming, last month I caught this segment on CNN, and it was about the unhoused in LA. Now, these folks are the number is somewhere around 30,000 people find themselves living on the streets in tents or in makeshift shelters or things that they've put together for themselves as a safe, warm place to get through the day. And the new mayor of LA her name's Karen Bass. She decided that enough was enough. Her first day in, she declared a state of emergency. And she put a plan in place. And the plan was to get people off the streets, get them out of their tents, get them out of their makeshift shelters and the shacks that they're building for themselves, and to get them into hotels and motels to provide them services and ultimately to provide them permanent housing, permanent, safe housing. The plan isn't without its hiccups. The plan is not perfect. The plan isn't without its detractors. Not everybody is pleased with this plan. One of the things about this plan that I balk at is the condition that in order for you to enter into this program, you have to let the city destroy much of what you own. You have to let them destroy your tents. You have to let them destroy. You can only take so many of your belongings. I want to say it's like 2, maybe 3 bags. So you can't take everything with you. The city comes in and they demolish everything else. They don't keep it. They don't store it. They demolish everything else and they throw it in a dumpster. And then you're able to enter into the program. I find that difficult to wrap my head around. But in the interview with the mayor, the interviewer, he brings up some of the problems that people are experiencing. And she says, you are watching something being born. Yeah, that kind of blew my mind. You're watching something being born. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be messy, but it needs to happen. You cannot stop a thing from being born. You cannot keep something from entering it. You can't force something to not be birthed. When it's time, it's time. And the mayor has decided that it is time to birth change in LA, to birth a program in LA, to birth a change to the system in Los Angeles that will take care of its citizens. She says, you're watching this program being born. It's not going to be perfect. We don't have it all figured out. We don't know how it's going to necessarily work from point A to point B. We have a goal in mind, and we've got a long way to go between now and that goal, but we're going to get there. We're going to work on it. But as I think about that metaphor, I think, yes, because birth is messy. You have a child, you have an understanding, you have an expectation, you have a goal that the child will grow up to be healthy, that they will be a positive impact in the community, that they'll be someone of character and integrity. Now, between the time of birth and the realization of that goal, a lot of distance to be covered. Lot of distance to be covered. Lot of things, lot of variables, lots of time, lots of space, it's a big job. It is a big, unknown piece of time. Lots of things come, lots of things go. Lots of things impact the way your child grows. That's the job. That's the job. Just because birth is messy doesn't mean you give up on the goal. Just because the child will poop all over the place doesn't mean you give up the goal. Just because the child will fall down and skin their knee doesn't mean you give up the goal. Just because your child will say things without thinking, just because your child will do things out of it because of a lack of impulse control doesn't mean you give up the goal. Just because your child takes this turn or that, just because your child walks off the path doesn't mean you give up the goal. I think this mayor has got it absolutely right in how she is viewing this project, how she's viewing these changes that she's trying to bring into place. We have to do something. And by doing something, we are giving birth to something. And as we give birth to that thing, we need to guide it and nurture it. We need to clean it. We need to take care of it. Because that thing that we have given birth to will bring about great, wonderful, life-giving, life-transforming change. There's lots of things going on in our world right now. We are in a place where we are seeing, we're encountering new things so often that it feels like it's almost exponential. It's almost exponential in how they are coming towards us. The world is changing so fast, so drastically. And we kind of get in this place where we scratch our heads thinking, well, what should I do? And we have some who will say, we shouldn't do anything. We just should ignore and not accept this new reality. And others will say, no, we must embrace it and bring it along. And I must admit, I'm probably on the left side of that. We must embrace it. We must bring it on. We must help it. We must give birth to new ideas, new understandings. We must give birth to new systems, new perceptions, new ways of doing things, new ways of relating to each other. It's not going to be perfect right away. We're not going to give birth to a completely perfect, mature, well-functioning program or thought or understanding. It's going to take us time. It's going to take us time to get there. It's going to take us time to allow these changes to take effect and to take hold. And it's going to be messy. But yeah, Mayor Bass is absolutely right. Not only about the situation in LA, but in so many situations we see in the world today where we are trying to be inclusive, where we are trying to be inviting, where we are trying to be welcoming, where we are trying to provide for the needs of others. We're giving birth to something here. We're giving birth to something here. We're giving birth to something truly wonderful. If we're willing to put the time in, the energy in, if we're willing to give ourselves to it, to guide it, to lead it, to nurture it, to help it grow in wisdom and strength. You're watching something being born. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you. May you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray that's how you and I will see, how you and I will perceive the changes that are coming in this world. Those changes that are meant to welcome more people to the table. Those changes that are meant to include more people in the family. those changes that are meant to help us share the overwhelming abundance of our communities with those who are in need. I pray you and I will begin to perceive those things, to perceive those changes as though we are watching something being born. Because we are. Amen. Numultus.